So a little while back, I talked about what would it be like if Ghidorah from the Godzilla universe came to the Warhammer 40k universe. So I thought I'd revisit this idea with another character, another world-ending threat, and that being Galactus. So what would it be like if Galactus existed in the Warhammer 40k universe? And also, who would work as his herald? That's the questions we're going to be asking today. Yeah, so let's get started with the video. Sorry, I had to, my brain just stopped for a second. Anyway, so let's get started with the video. Now, much like of what I said about King Ghidorah in the Warhammer 40k universe, is probably going to apply a lot to Galactus as well. Basically, he is going the 40k universe is massive. It is a massive galaxy with multiple worlds, many of whom within the Imperium specifically aren't aware of each other. Like, they genuinely are not aware of some of the things going on. So the idea of Galactus he'd probably go unnoticed by the Imperium, maybe not, and maybe even some other factions for a good long while. He would be undetected, destroying worlds, and if anyone came to see what had happened, they'll think it was either like the Necrons or a massive Orc-Wa or the Tyranids or Chaos. They wouldn't suspect a giant purple man. They'd probably even talk of Galactus as like a big, almost like the Doom of Malantai, or even like some just boogeyman in space. I also do imagine if any fleets came upon him, they'd probably get also wiped off the face of the map, and again, no one would be the wiser. But eventually, yeah, Galactus would probably... I imagine Galactus wouldn't be able to hide as much as Ghidorah could. You see, Ghidorah would be able to just slip through space and slip back into space, or like hide in a nebula for a while. There is a problem with Galactus on that other occasion. See, Galactus needs to feed on planets. Galactus needs to hunt for worlds to consume. And specifically, those worlds that are more energy efficient for him are worlds with life. So I do imagine at first, if Galactus could travel to the 40k universe, which technically he could, we do know he's able to traverse other universes. He went to the Ultimate Universe for a bit. The original Ultimate Universe, I should say. He also... It's even been said that, yeah, in the Superman Fantastic Four crossover, he went to the DC universe and saw Krypton be destroyed. He didn't eat it, but he was about to. So we do know Galactus is capable of traversing the multiverse. And to see him, like, enter this universe, it's like he could do it. Like, he could theoretically do it. But yeah, again, whereas Ghidorah could just hide in the galaxy after decimating a world or two and then flying off and never be found again, Galactus would eventually realize that, oh shit, this thing it's real, and we gotta fight it. I do imagine Galactus would be seen as almost like a new chaos god. I do think the people and other beings of the universe would first take Galactus as a god, which they aren't too far off. Galactus is almost a borderline divine being. So the fact of the matter is, Galactus would be eventually found by other races. Now, the question, and I think he would be seen as like some horror from the galaxy, or even like a god. Now, let's talk about like what would each of the factions see him as. The Imperium would see him as a threat that they would throw everything they have at him. And here's the thing: they don't have Reed Richards. They don't have the Ultimate Nullifier. Technically speaking, there's not a damn thing that the Imperium of Man could throw at Galactus. I mean, yeah, in theory, they do have weapons that could probably wound Ghidorah, but this is Galactus. Even, like, the only thing that stopped him from eating a world is the Ultimate Nullifier. Guess what universe doesn't have an Ultimate Nullifier? That one, the 40k universe. So if Galactus really wanted to, he could just travel to the Sol System and consume Terra. Like, he could just do that, and, like, all of the the Imperium of Man would throw everything they have, every last cannon, every last gun, every last soldier at Galactus, and he'd just be like, energy blast. Done. Yeah, I don't even think it would, damage his ship. He's just, the thing is also, his ship is so technologically advanced, it has broken the minds of lesser beings. Hell, even the likes of, like, Tony Stark, when he tried to examine Galactus's technology, at first it nearly drove him insane. The only person who's really been able to comprehend his, like, Galactus's technology is really Reed Richards again, and a few and outside of cosmic beings, of course. So yeah, again, like, I don't think the tech priests, if they ever got their hands on Galactus technology, which I don't think would be possible, their minds would just break from trying to understand it. So if this is a scenario where Galactus would be like, yeah, I can consume Earth, this universe is Earth, and then just mosey onto another planet, and the Imperium would be forever destroyed, because the Astrocon is destroyed. It's gone. The Astronomicon's destroyed. The Emperor is dead now. If he was millions and just trillions of lives, weapons, and whatnot are gone. And God knows he'll probably move on to Mars next if he doesn't do Mars first. So, yeah, the Imperium, again, you really have to understand, the Imperium has no shot of stopping Galactus if he really wanted to consume Terra and Mars. Now, as for other races, I think the Eldar would try to communicate with Galactus, as well as, try to use their abilities on Galactus. But again, I have to stress, getting into Galactus's head will kill you. Several psychics have tried to, reach into Galactus's mind, and it has quite literally backfired on them, to the point where some of the most powerful psychics have been thrown into, comas, trying to reach into Galactus's head. I think the only one who's really been able to was Jean Grey, and even then, she had the power of the Phoenix behind her. So, you got to take that into account. So that's kind of a major thing right there, is that the Eldar could try to mind whammy Galactus, and Galactus would just be like, "Get out!" And remember, Eldar, once the Tyranid hive mind tried to. The Tyranid hive mind spoke to a whole fleet of Eldar and threw them all in an entire craft world into a coma, and even killed some of them when it talked to them. That's how I feel trying to reach into Galactus's head would be like for them. Among other things, Galactus, the only two real races I could see being an honest-to-God threat to Galactus. And there is a third one I am going to talk about, but I don't think they'd have the time for it. The two biggest threats to Galactus in space, well, really the only two are the Necrons and the Tyranids. The Necrons, again, they've killed gods before, so they would view Galactus as just another god for them to fight, so that's what they would do. They have enough god-killing weaponry that they have either lost or just storing away, that they could probably use it to kill Galactus. Granted, if you kill Galactus, his body will literally kill a universe if he dies. If he dies, he just fucking kills the whole universe. He just literally, his body, all that cosmic energy will radiate out of him, and he'll create another Big Bang. That's how it goes. So, even if you do kill him, it's gonna fuck you over. But I do think, again, Necrons have the best shot of killing, and I'm not just saying that as a Necron fanboy. I'm just saying, Necrons have, weaponry that killed and enslaved two pantheons of gods. I think they could take the World Eater. Now, the other race, and this one may be a little tougher for them, is the Tyranids. The Tyranid, like I said in my Ghidorah video, the Tyranids could probably swarm Galactus and consume his biomass. And then you have this terrifying thought of cosmic Tyranids, power cosmic-infused Tyranids that are just going to be eating worlds on a massive scale. But again, they would have to overwhelm Galactus. And Galactus has taken on something similar, and it did admittedly overwhelm him, and that was the Annihilation Wave. Yeah, Galactus did do battle with the Annihilation Wave, and they just swarmed him, and Annihilus eventually used his technology to capture Galactus and use him as a weapon. So, in theory, the Tyranids could probably do the same fucking thing. That's a strong possibility that the Tyranids could just overwhelm Galactus and consume his biomass. Would they be able to retain it? I don't know. If they could like actually consume Galactus and then contain all the power cosmic within them, that's going to be a little hard, because I imagine a lot of their bodies would burn out. But that is a terrifying thought. Now, the third race, I think, could kill Galactus, or at least harm him. The only but this is the catch. I don't think they'd have enough time, and that'd be the Tau. The Tau would probably have the advanced technology enough and the enough scientific knowledge to probably build weapons that could hurt or even mortally wound Galactus, in the form of, yeah, they could probably shoot him down or build a giant mech that could siphon off the cosmic, the power cosmic from him, or something of that degree. The problem is, if Galactus showed up in the Tau Empire, and keep in mind it's very tiny, like a little over 40 worlds, they would have to work fast. And again, Tau ingenuity, as much as you want to shit on them, they're pretty fast. They would have to build something fast, and that takes a long time to study Galactus as he's just tearing through the Tau Empire, consuming worlds. So there is that. For other races, I think the Orcs would be like, the purpley gets kind of fun to crump. They would just see it as a cool fight. The Leagues of Votann, they're the Leagues of Votann. We have nothing for them, so I'm going to skip them. Now, here's another big one that I was saving last for this video, and that is, of course, Chaos. What is Chaos going to do about Galactus? Because Galactus would probably see Chaos-controlled worlds and probably not consume them, because he would see like the taint and just the energy that it resonates from, and be like, no, that's not going to be good for me. He has tried to consume worlds that have similar dark energy to them, and it's either hurt him or it's driven him mad. So I think he's just going to be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I think Chaos would definitely get a power boost from all the chaos Galactus would cause, but here's the thing. I don't think the gods would like Galactus in their universe. Yeah, in the long run, he's sowing chaos left and right, but also, he's kind of taking away the divinity from them. People would see Galactus as a godlike being. And again, belief is a big thing in Warhammer 40k, so I would imagine Galactus's power from that belief would help him gain even more power. That's just how the kooky shit works in 40k. I don't make the rules. GW does. So I would imagine the Chaos Gods would directly get involved in getting rid of Galactus. Would they be able to stop him? I don't know. Galactus has tangled with beings that are godlike in their own, like god-level beings, like the not the Eternals, the Celestials, excuse me, yeah. He's taken on the Celestials, multiple Celestials. He's taken on other godlike beings like the In-Betweener, Dormammu, whom he consumed. He literally consumed Dormammu once. He has battled Mephisto. He's usually 9 times out of 10 come out on top in these fights. So even if all 4 Chaos Gods got together, Galactus could still hold his own. Now, I can't confirm if he could beat them, but I definitely do see that Galactus could probably give them all a run for their money. I do also see that, like, the Chaos Gods would also get worried that the idea of something like Galactus existing would probably drive some of their followers to worship him, and that would take away from their belief as well. Belief as well. I just repeated myself. I'm sorry. So, yeah. Now, so I don't know, but I do see this would be a scenario where the Chaos Gods would get directly involved. Like, I imagine Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh would pause the Great Game and either try to get Abaddon and other Chaos Legions to go after him, or they basically would just step in physically and just be like, bring it. Anyway, so now we come to the question of, like, here's another big question for you all. Which character would serve as Galactus's herald? Because, of course, this is a big galaxy, and Galactus would waste a lot of energy traveling aimlessly through space until he found a planet. So, the question is now, who would serve as the Herald of Galactus in the Warhammer 40k universe? That's a big question. Now, you could say Trazyn, but Trazyn would be more interested in, like, collecting worlds rather than having be consumed, because he'd be like, no, that we're losing history. And I know what someone's about to say, oh, Galactus never turns robots into heralds. There's a character named Airwalker who'd like to talk to you about that. There's also the matter of who else could bear, like, the idea of just, you know, sacrificing themselves to protect the rest of the universe. I think Guilliman may step up and become Herald of Galactus in order to protect all of the Imperium and sacrifice the rest of the galaxy. I think, yeah, Guilliman in theory might, but I don't see him taking that step because he's like, the Imperium needs me. I can't, like, fucking do that. I can't, like, I would sacrifice myself for the Imperium, but if I'm gone, it goes back to shit again. Probably even worse this time around. And keep in mind, he's, as of this recording, he still doesn't know the Lion is out there. So that leaves, you know, Guilliman out. Could Eldrad do it? Maybe. But again, I don't see Eldrad leaving his people like that when they need him. So Lion could, especially the Lion now in continuity, I could see him, like, because now he's this whole thing of protecting the people. And again, if he found out Guilliman was still alive, now that he knows the Imperium's alive, he would probably be like, yeah, I'll lead you to worlds that aren't Imperium controlled, and you can consume them, and we'll even fight chaos together. Yeah, Lion, I think, would be a candidate to sacrifice himself to become Herald of Galactus. Now, another one I could possibly see is Commander Farsight. Farsight would be very much like Norrin Rad. This would be a Silver Surfer situation where Farsight, even though he's kind of exiled from the Tau Empire, if he found out Galactus was consuming worlds left and right, I think he would rush back home and be like, no, is there any way I can fix this? Is like, I offer myself as Herald, and I will lead you to other worlds that aren't the Tau Empire. And in theory, if Farsight took the L and became Galactus's Herald, that's a big thing for a multitude of reasons. Reason number one being, he's leaving the Tau Empire alone. It can grow now. And now that Farsight is leading Galactus to other worlds to consume, the Tau Empire can now, like, expand on worlds because there'd be so much confusion. At the same time, though, eventually, like, there's so many worlds out there, there would be, like, other empires that would be scrambling to protect their own from Galactus, while the Tau could spread the word of the greater good to other worlds. And also, it'd be a great propaganda machine for them, too. The Tau would be like, hail, Commander Farsight, Herald of Galactus, and woe to you. I mean, if you want to be protected from... that would be another thing. The Tau would show up and be like, so, yeah, Galactus is, he's a big planet eater, and, oh yeah, our greatest warrior is his Herald. So, if you don't want him to come and eat your world, you know, he doesn't eat Tau-controlled worlds. I'm just saying, like, yeah, that's part of the bargain. Galactus won't eat your world if you become part of the Tau Empire. Yeah. So, those would be the two I could personally see becoming Heralds of Galactus for different reasons. The Lion taking the L because he's like, again, assuming like this would be such a crisis situation where, yeah, Guilliman's too important to the Empire. Yeah, he's too important to the Imperium. Someone needs to take the L, and he swore to be a shield to that empire, to the Imperium, and he'd take the L and lead Galactus to non-Imperium controlled worlds to consume them. And Farsight, for the reason of, again, he's going to become Herald, get the power cosmic, and lead Galactus away from the Tau, and the Tau in turn use this as a propaganda machine to help spread the greater good and expand the Empire even further. So yeah. So that's just kind of my thoughts on what if Galactus existed in the 40k universe. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think it would be like if Galactus existed in the Warhammer 40k universe? Do you think the Chaos Gods could stand up to him? Do you think anyone in the Imperium could fight him? And also, another big question for all of you, like I just said at the end of this video, which Warhammer 40k character could you see as the Herald of Galactus? just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.